Today we're going to talk about the high school math options for students in the Waterloo School District. The high school graduation requirement for math in Iowa is 6 credits. So how that works is each semester that you pass a math class, you earn 1 credit. So 3 years of math would be 2 semesters per year, which comes out to 6 credits of math. So I will walk you through your options, or some of the options I should say, of courses that you could take and what your 4-year plan might look like in high school. Please keep in mind, if you qualify for special education services, you may have slightly different options that I didn't cover. Also, if you're taking courses through the Waterloo Career Center, you again may have slightly different options that I didn't mention. There's lots and lots of scenarios, and so I'll go through some basic ones that we see many students take. The first scenario would be taking Algebra 1 as a freshman. As a sophomore, you take geometry. Junior, you take Algebra 2. In the senior year, you take pre-calculus. Some students take Algebra 1 in 8th grade. So in that situation, we're just going to move the top option to the left 1 year. So as a freshman, you'll take geometry. As a sophomore, you'll take Algebra 2. As a junior, you would take pre-calculus. And as a senior, you will take a class called AP Calculus, or Advanced Placement Calculus. And in that course, you have the option of earning college credit when you take the AP exam. Another option would be students that say, hey, I did not take Algebra 1 as an 8th grader. Do I still have the ability to reach the highest level of math in high school of AP Calc? The answer is yes. As a freshman, you can take Algebra 1. And then as a sophomore, we can make a group decision with your parents and your counselor and yourself and some math teachers and say, maybe you want to take geometry and Algebra 2 as a sophomore at the same time. That's common. Not a lot of students do that, but there are some. Pre-calculus as a junior, and then you get to that AP Calc as a senior. Now, higher level math like AP Calculus and maybe even pre-calc isn't for everybody, and we understand that. So maybe you take, again, the Algebra 1 geometry, Algebra 2 route, your freshman, sophomore, and junior year, but you want a 4th year of math. What options do you have then? Well, we have 2 courses here. Both of them are applied math, I would call it. So taking math you've already learned and applying it to some very common everyday examples. Many of those examples are financial. So in consumer math, you're going to take pre-algebra and Algebra 1 content, things you learned then, and apply it to situations that you'll see in a typical adult's life. Financial algebra is very similar again, but you'll be applying math concepts from Algebra 1 through Algebra 2 and applying those to financial examples that adults would see in their lives. So as we go down the options here, we've got some more options for the student who says, maybe college isn't for me, or 4-year university isn't what I'm aspiring to do. Maybe it's a student who, again, isn't interested in reaching higher level mathematics. So Algebra 1 geometry, you've noticed that's the first 2 years. That's what most people are going to do. Junior year, then you could take consumer math. And at that point, you'd have your 6 math credits, and you know that the high school graduation requirement has been met. Senior year, again, you still want 4 years of math. So you take Algebra 2, but you do have options in high school of taking classes as pass-fail. And this is something here that your counselor can talk to you more about and how that works within our 4 years of high school. The next option I want to look at is kind of a culmination of a lot of different options that you have. Algebra 1 and geometry, again, are here, but we do offer a course called Math Lab, which is an elective class. So you wouldn't earn math credit for it, but it's a class designed to help support you with what you're learning in Algebra 1 or geometry, Algebra 2, perhaps. So the purpose of that class would be to ensure that you pass Algebra 1, pass geometry, get your questions answered, and have more support than a student who's taking Algebra 1 without Math Lab. Junior year, Math Lab was an elective, so you still need another math credit. You could take Algebra 2, you could take consumer math, you could take financial algebra, If you take Algebra 2, you could go on to pre-calculus. You could take consumer math and then financial algebra. There's lots of combinations and how that could look. The last example I want to look at is designed for students receiving special education services, and it's one combination of classes that those students would have the option to. So we have a class called Algebra 1 Part 1 and Algebra 1 Part 2. So it'd be Algebra 1 over 2 years. Then junior year you would take geometry. Again, maybe you take this with a math lab, your geometry course. We have consumer math. You could take, if you did the geometry, you could go to consumer math as a senior, or you could go to Algebra 2 as a senior. Again, lots and lots of options and combinations of classes that could happen, but all things to consider as you are making your 4-year plan. Now, it's very possible you have some questions over the options that we've talked about. If that's the case, please see your counselor. They can help you with your questions and help you put together your 4-year math plan.